Shaitanir Rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble universal greeting of the prophets and messengers of Allah, the greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And another Friday we have an opportunity to draw closer to our Creator. It's something that I enjoy doing. Decades ago I thought religion was something that, you're forced to do and all that sort of thing, and people just did it because they wanted to avoid the fire of hell and, to go to heaven. But I'm at a place in my life where the peace of God is the most important thing. The peace of God, that we experience salam, shalom within our being. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. If you don't remember Allah, there'll be no assurance in your heart. So when I greet you with the greeting of peace, it's really a thing that we're saying here, that the greeting of peace, salam, shalom, is a state that a believer can experience. Verily, those who remember Allah, their hearts will experience assurance. Only in the remembrance of Allah, only in the recognition of Allah, only in the awareness of Allah. You see, so in the remembrance, if you forget, there's no assurance. So peace is something that I value. Peace is a healing state. It's a healing energy. It's a healing vibration. And it's the most precious of medicine that you can get. People think, medicine is something you pop in your mouth or you take for your body. But those things, I'm not saying don't take those things, I'm just saying those things work with control and force. They manipulate the body's biochemistry, and oftentimes with side effects and so on and so forth. They like dealing with symptoms. And so what I have discovered is that in the remembrance of Allah, a healing occurs. The more you feel the energy of peace, the more you feel the energy of assurance. As you feel the energy of peace, assurance, security, then a healing occurs that cannot be quantified in the body. The body registers the healing, but it's not like a tablet or you take something for your body and nutrition for your body. And I'm not saying don't take it. I'm saying if you want to, do what you want to do. I'm just saying that for me, in the remembrance of Allah, the state that is experienced, it's an expanded state, it's a state of connection. It's an amazing healing that takes place. And every day, I willingly and happily, voluntarily choose to draw closer to my Creator. And if you've been following the series, it hasn't always been like that for me. It hasn't always been like that for me. It hasn't always been the case that I have been in this state of connection, a state of healing that occurs, this expanded state. I've been in what I can describe a contracted state, a stressful and distressful state before guidance came to me, before I reverted, before I submitted, before I humbled myself and remembered God. When I had forgotten God, I felt very deeply identified with my body and my mind and what was going on and what was happening in the world, and the world, and like from birth to death, like that was the main focus. And it was a very at best, uncomfortable state to be in when we forget Allah. The Quran says those who fail to remember Allah, theirs will be a depressed life. And I can tell you, I had that depressed life. And remember Allah, He remembers you. And that's what happened. I was guided to submit. I was guided to release my disconnection, my ignorant, arrogant, superstitious mentality, what I would call phantom self or satanic self, the self that had forgotten God, so that the self can begin to remember God. And so when in those dark days I felt very contracted, I felt deeply identified with my body and my mind and separate, and there was a lot of guilt and shame, unworthiness, fear, worry. My heart was diseased. Although I was saying I believe in Allah in the last day, and I was also doing some rituals and all that sort of thing, but as the Quran says, they say they believe in Allah in the last day, but they don't believe. In their hearts is a disease. They fool Allah thinking they fool themselves. They only fool themselves. They don't fool Allah. Their hearts are diseased, and that disease is expanded. And they are astray, and they are left to stray. And I was one of those people. I was one of those people feeling stressed and distressed, and it was a horrible feeling, and worried, and nothing was working out for me easily. If something did work out, it took a lot of strain and stress, and I had to use a lot of energy to keep it going. And eventually I couldn't even do that too. So I can tell you, from being a person who was a hypocrite to a person who is a believer, that from a state of separation, arrogance, to a state of humility, remembrance, from denial to the acknowledgement and acceptance and appreciation of our Creator, there's been a very, very big difference. Incomparable in me, in my health, in my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health, my life, So that's what I've been speaking about. I've been speaking about my journey to you, and what an amazing journey it has been, and it continues to be, from that hooligan of a man that I was, young man, to where I am now. In fact, I have just submitted a abstract to present at an international conference in August. Now, it's called Live Intelligently. My presentation is called Live Intelligently, Marry Correctly. Live Intelligently, Marry Correctly. And it's about healthy marriages and the importance of a healthy marriage, because a healthy marriage creates a healthy family, and a healthy family creates a healthy community. So the theme of this particular convention, international convention, is called Healthy Families, Healthy Communities. So they're talking about healthy families, healthy communities. And I'm saying, hold on, you require a healthy marriage to have a healthy family, to have a healthy community. If there's no healthy marriage, there's no healthy family. And to have a healthy marriage, you got to be a spiritually developed person. You got to have iman, you got to have amal, you got to be into a life tayyibun. You're going to have to feel you have a relationship with your Creator, you have a relationship with yourself, your body, your life. You receive the benefits of God. You play a beneficial role in your life with your body and your life, with yourself, your body and your life. You're interested in your life, your future. You have dreams and aspirations for this world and for the Akhirah. And you have good social networks, connections. You connect with the right people. And that is so important. It's the first part of living intelligently. And it's all based on this psychological, spiritual, developmental approach that I'm talking about here. That first relationship is with Allah. Security. Because if you don't feel that peace, that assurance, if you're living in that worry, that stress, that distress, if you're reacting, if you're feeling separate and carrying guilt, shame, worry, fearing punishment, you have all these kind of ideas of Allah being punitive and hateful and vengeful, and that He's abandoned us and forgotten us. And if you don't know Allah, there's no security. You get it? There's no connection with Allah, that assurance in the heart. It's only from that assurance in that heart that you can really have a relationship with you, your body and your life. From iman, you can actually develop your amal. And from your amal, you can focus on a life tayyibun. And from a life tayyibun, you can use the power of dua. So this is my whole discussion that I intend to present at the convention. I submitted a bit late, 2 months late for the convention. hopefully, Allah knows best, will accept my submission, and I would be presenting this in August in an international convention, inshallah. But the point is, how am I here? Me, Ashraf Moorad, the guy who was, nicotine addicted and other things, compulsive, didn't feel free, was controlled by the world, trying to control the world, was always worried, afraid, angry, upset, blaming God, blaming other people, didn't want to see other people progress, felt very jealous. How did I get from there to the guy who's, 2 years ago I presented at an international conference in Porto, Portugal, where I launched my book. How did that happen? You know what I mean? How did that happen? And I wrote a book. How did that happen? I presented internationally. I was the only person given the auditorium to present for European countries. There were delegates from all over Europe, and there were people from live streaming me in Portugal. From South Africa, Indian Muslim guy. There. So how can that be from being the hooligan that I was, worried and afraid, to being where I am? I had health issues, getting sick all the time, sickly, this, that. I'm fit as a horse today. I'm strong, shukr to Allah. I heal diseases. How did it happen? How is it that my life is getting better and better with every passing day? I'm in the same world that everybody else is. I'm in the same world, but I'm a different me in the same world. And so my personal world is different because my relationship with Allah is different. And because my relationship with Allah is different, then my relationship with myself, my body and my life is different. My relationship with my future in this world through my death and beyond is different. You get what I mean? I'm probably the only speaker that's going to be speaking from an Islamic psycho-spiritual development approach at the convention, telling them how this really works, because I'm living proof that you can live intelligently. You can develop your spiritual intelligence, you can develop your personal intelligence, you can develop your interpersonal intelligence, your lifestyle intelligence, your interpersonal intelligence, your social intelligence. You can develop it. But it starts off with spiritual intelligence. It starts off with your relationship with Allah. You get what I mean? I can't tell you that I was always like this and I was a public speaker always. I was shy and timid and afraid. I didn't want to speak to people. I wanted to hide. You understand? And here, I tried. I wished to write a book for 20 years. I couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden I wrote a book. And, I've written a 7-page proposal for my speaking at this international convention. And I'm not a writer. You get it? I'm not a writer. I'm sitting and I'm contemplating, and Allah guides. This is a path that Allah has placed me on, and Allah is holding my hand. Allah is taking me through this path. That's all I can tell you. You get it? I mean, it's a beautiful thing to submit, to revert, to stop worshipping Satan, to, don't just say you believe in Allah in the last day, but to actually believe in Allah in the last day. Instead of being a self-deceiving hypocrite, which is what I was, my heart is no longer impure. The self-deceiving hypocrites who do not come clean and be honest, their hearts are diseased. And that disease is expanded according to the Quran. And they are astray and they're left to stray. So that's what can happen. You get what I mean? When human beings are in this world, we don't realize we have forgotten Allah. Everybody had to remember Allah. The Prophet Abraham, the Prophet Muhammad, everybody with a mother and father had to remember Allah. After Adam and Eve went into their arrangement with Satan, where they went into a trance of denying Allah, Allah said that there him and his people will be until guidance comes. When guidance comes, the people who receive the guidance will no longer be astray. They will no longer be insecure. You get what I mean? So all human beings, including me and everybody else, we have forgotten Allah. And some people say, no, we believe in Allah in the last day. But they still are in a state of forgetfulness of Allah. Because verily in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance, that peace, The Quran also says in another verse that Allah puts tranquility into the hearts of the believer as He increases the believer in faith. I am such a person who has this peace, who has this tranquility that Allah has put. I didn't put there, nobody else put there, not the Guru, not the Pandit. They can't put tranquility into my heart, I can't put it in. Allah is the unique one, the one who actually alone really is the all-knowing, who alone has power. Nobody and nothing created has power. Allah alone has power. Allah, is the one that if you take one step towards Him, He takes 10 towards you. Allah says, remember me, and remember me abundantly that you may live a prosperous life. You get what I mean? So I can vouch for it as I remember Allah more and more every day. My life just gets better and better. I get so naturally feeling good within me, a state of spiritual well-being that nobody and nothing in the world can give me. Nobody and nothing in the world, and nobody and nothing in the world changing can give me this peace, this tranquility, this level of assurance and reassurance and insurance that things are just going to get better and better. Nothing in the world and nobody in the world and nothing and nobody in the world changing is going to give me this peace. So I began telling you of how I hit rock bottom, and I thought I was suffering because what was happening in the world, in my world, and how I believed I needed God to change it. If God changed it, I wouldn't feel bad, I would feel better. But that's a relief. And Allah guided me to remember Him so that I can experience the assurance that nothing and nobody can give me in the world. And every day and night I remember Allah. And I experience this tranquility, and I experience this assurance that, you know what, things are just getting better and better for me. I'm looking forward to the rest of my life in this world through a pleasant, pleasing and pleasurable death, being raised up again, facing my Creator with light, being shown the way through the doors of paradise to the highest levels of Firdaus, of Na'im, of delight in my penthouse in paradise, the final abode. I'm looking forward to that. And what a thing. I could have done the things, I could have focused on the things other people focus on, and I would have never been on this track, on this path where the blessings of Allah come more and more and more and more. Sirat al-Mustaqim, upon whom the blessings are showered when you're on this path, So I could have been in this world like everybody else. I wouldn't have even known I was denying Allah. I would be thinking I believe in Allah in the last day, but my heart would have been diseased. I'd be self-deceiving, and I would be astray, and I'd continue. But shukr to Allah, I experienced a great challenge in my life. And that's when, instead of behaving as a usual hypocrite, turning to Allah desperately and needily and all that, I realized that there was something I required to learn. It was me. It wasn't Allah. I was living a depressed life because I had forgotten Allah. People don't realize this. I could have been like everybody else, on medication and all, because I couldn't cope with the stress in my life. They could have sent me to a psychologist, psychiatrist. I could have been a neurotic for the rest of my life, or even psychotic. Shukr to Allah. Peace. Salam. How wonderful. So, I've been telling you about the fact that we all have to remember Allah. Well, you don't have to, right? But we all have the opportunity to remember Allah. If you want to, you can. The Quran says that is an option. Let those who choose to believe, believe. Let those who choose to disbelieve, disbelieve. I can live in this world, making this world real, making this world the only world, like there's no hereafter. I can live in this world concerned with things that are related to my body, I'm saying to you that I could be like everybody else, denying Allah, thinking I believe, but don't believe. My heart could have been diseased. I could be living with the focus of this world, forgetting the hereafter. I could be living, forgetting about there's a path where things get better and better for somebody who's on the path. And because they're living with development of spirituality, spiritually developed, personally developed, psychologically developed. Islam is there for humanity's welfare, right? Social, personal, people's welfare. It's there for benefiting humanity. It's a gift. The Quran is a gift to humanity. You get what I mean? It's for humanity's betterment and improvement, living at a higher level. But we can live like the people who don't have a Quran because we don't know what its message is. And we can live like the non-believers because we are essentially non-believers if we haven't accepted the Quran and its message. You get what I mean? And we can live and think it's about making sure in my old age I got money, or I got money now, or something bad doesn't happen to me. It's all about this world. Our lives can center around our bodies, or our comforts, or our luxuries, or avoiding difficulties. Our lives can center around work, around a man, a woman, our children. The Quran says neither will your work or your money avail you, nor will your children or family avail you, except those who bring to Allah a purified heart. I've been saying to us that for me, I'm not saying that you should follow this. For me, the Quranic teaching is that remember Allah. You're here to remember Allah, to become aware of Allah, to acknowledge Allah, to be in awe of Allah's greatness and His power, to be in awe of Allah's greatness and power. We are here to be aware of Allah's power. We are here to be aware of Allah's power. We are here to be in awe of Allah's power. We are here to appreciate Allah's privileging of us, rejoice, to revere His greatness, rejoice His graciousness. We are here to recognize, to appreciate His gifting nature, His giving nature, His granting nature, His gifts, to accept His gifts. You see, we are here to remember Allah, to be grateful. The Quran says we are here to remember Allah, to recognize His power, to be grateful. And we are here to purify our hearts. You see, I didn't know, nobody told me when I was here. They taught me a religious identity. Just like everybody else, non-believers, we were living essentially. But we had to do religious rituals. The Guru and the Pandit said, you must do like this, don't do like that, that's right, that's wrong, all that sort of thing. But essentially, we were no different at the level of spiritual development from other people. I mean, that's my opinion. And I didn't know that I'm here to remember Allah, I'm here to purify my heart. The Quran says, except those who bring to Allah a purified heart, nothing is going to avail you. Nothing is going to benefit you. I didn't know I was here to purify my heart. I didn't know I was here to receive Allah's good in this world through my death and beyond. I didn't know all these things. I thought we just in this religious group and we have this religious identity, and as a religious identity we have these beliefs and we do these rituals, and this is our way as a religious identity. But being a believer is beyond religious identities. It's really being aware of your true identity, your real identity. That I am a creation of Allah. Allah is my creator, and Tawheed, that there is only Allah. There is only Allah. There is only Allah, who actually is. People don't even know Tawheed, that we are created beings in a created created world. The creation is a result of a process. We can't know. Nobody can know. Allah is unique, supreme. And we can humble ourselves before. Nobody taught me these things. Nobody told me that what it means, Tawheed, how to humble yourself, and so on and so on. Nobody taught me these things. Allah guided me, because when I turned to Him, He guided me. If you turn to Allah, He will guide your heart. That's what the Quran says. If you believe in Allah, He will guide your heart, you see. So there's a lot of people whose hearts are not guided. They're thinking they're turning to Allah, but they're not turning to Allah. They're just desperate people from a religious identity with ideas about Allah or God and so on and so forth. So anyway, my whole focus shifted in life from living as non-believers with a religious identity. Other people read the Bible, we read the Quran in a language we don't understand. People go to their place of worship on a Saturday or Sunday, we go to our place on a Friday. You know what I mean? People dress like that, other people, we dress like this. This is how we pray, that's how they pray. This is what we call God, that's what they call God. I left all that. I call it modified Hinduism. I left this modified Hinduism and I chose to remember Allah. I chose to purify my heart. I chose to claim Allah's good in this world and the world beyond. And I'm on my way. I have no doubt. I have absolutely no doubt. I can feel the presence that I trust in, that brought me here in my life, the presence that takes me forward in my life. Every day I'm feeling more and more assurance and reassurance and assurance. This heart is not diseased. You know what I mean? I have no fear. I have no worry. The Quran says, the friends of Allah, they shall not fear. They shall not worry. They shall not grieve. You understand? I'm moving in the direction, this is my aspiration to be close to Allah, to be intimate, to draw closer. The Quran says prostrate to Allah and draw closer. You get what I mean? That's what I'm doing. So I'm not the same Ashraf that I was as a religious identity, and now I, got some religious identity. I don't have a religious identity. I'm a believer. My only identity is that I'm a created being, the blessed and benefited creation of Allah, who recognizes Allah as unique and supreme, alone to be focused on, felt about, alone to be worshipped. Allah is to be focused on beyond this world, beyond current situations in this world. I know what it means to submit. I know how to take my attention out of the trance, the satanic trance, and I know how to experience an expansion, a connection that is peace. It's a state of expansion beyond separation, that peace. I know how to remember Allah. Generally, when I get up in the morning, through the day, when I go to bed at night, I know how to remember Allah. And when there's drama and trauma, troubles and traumas and tragedies and all that sort of thing, then especially, particularly then, I know how to clean my heart. I know how to clear my heart. I know through guidance, beyond my superstitious ideas, beyond my ignorance, beyond my arrogance, beyond my entitlement, I'm no longer that person. Beyond my belief that I can control God, or I can tell God what to do, and I can make God do things for me, and that's such nonsense. Allah alone is a unique power. We are created, we are secondary. We can't in any way really make God do anything. You get what I mean? Allah has given us the ability to apply ourselves, and through our application, He's created the law such that this is the will of Allah. If you apply yourself, there is a response. If you make choices, there's consequences. I didn't understand any of this. Now I understand it even more and more every day, because I chose to humble myself. I chose to submit my ego. I reached a point in my life where the normal way of living wasn't working, and I asked for guidance, and this is what I was guided to submit, and I submitted. And you can submit too if you want to. But many people are so in the diseased heart, they don't know to remember Allah. They think they're remembering Allah. Let me tell you this. If your life focuses around the world, the created world, or something or somebody in the created world, including you or your work or your children, you don't know Allah. Not to say you can't have children and family. You are here to remember Allah. You are here to purify your heart. You are here to receive Allah's good in this world, claim your portion in this world. You are especially here for the hereafter, the final abode. You're here for that. You get what I mean? Now, people hear this and say, yeah, but I've got a religious personality. Now, I don't care whether you hold on to your religious personality or not. It makes no difference to me. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm just sharing with you my wonderful adventure, spiritual adventure, of how my life began to change when I stopped focusing on anybody or anything, including myself, more than focusing on my Creator. And as I began to focus on my Creator and draw closer to my Creator, I went from insecurity to security. I stopped being dependent on other people. I stopped wanting other people to depend on me. I stopped depending on me. I actually became dependent on Allah. You get what I mean? So most people will not hear what I'm saying because they want to maintain dependency on a job, or on their work, or on getting their money. Now, I also receive money for services that I render. But I'm not controlled by my work. My whole point of life is not work. I'm not thinking this is the most important thing. If I have money, I'm okay. If I don't have money, I'm not okay. You get what I mean? I receive people's caring and support, but I don't think like if they give me caring and support, I'm okay. If they don't give me caring and support, I'm not okay. I give people caring and support, but I don't say, look, I need to look after the whole world and everybody else. Allah has cured me of that disease. I had that disease up until very recently, where I felt like I was here to help other people. I was a delusion. I was deluded. Allah says, what has deluded you? Allah has been patient with me. What deluded me was thinking I am here to help other people. And Allah guided me that I'm only here for myself. That is for me to bring to Allah my purified heart. I'm here for me. like the Prophet was told, and I'm not comparing myself in any way to the Prophet. We can't compare anybody to the Prophet. You get what I mean? He was told, you're not a manager of people. You're only a messenger. You just give the message. He's to feel sorry and try and help people and feel sad when they remain superstitious and ignorant. And the revelation came that most people, they won't hear what you're saying. Their hearts is a disease, Most people, they're already lost. It means, whether you tell them or you don't tell them, it means nothing to them. Most people will not heed. Most people will just continue to worship Satan through their death and beyond. Shukr to Allah, I didn't remain that person. And I heard. And so what I'm saying is that I was deluded. I made other people and their spiritual well-being and how they're going to face Allah my concern. That's not my concern. My concern is how I face Allah, how I return to Allah. What state am I in spiritually when I reach my Creator? Am I going to have nur and light? Am I going to, be taken through the doors of Jannat, to Jannatul Firdaus, or am I going to be taken through the doors of Jahannam, the opposite, the darkness, the pain, the suffering, the horror? Am I living in this way, missing out an opportunity to prepare for my afterlife? You know what I mean? Am I missing out on that? And I'm not, shukr to Allah, because He guided me. I turned to Him. And He guides me. He's been with me. He's always been with me. I denied Allah. Allah is with all of us, closer to us than our jugular veins, but we deny Allah. We are so busy with that mind that is arrogant and that heart that is diseased, so full of ourselves and our problems and the stories of this world, so still with the trance. You get what I mean? So I'm going to share with you this week why I think that most people will not take the opportunity to recenter themselves, to go from what I call before guidance to after guidance. Why when guidance is given to people, they turn their back against it. And from my own personal experience, this is my own opinion, from my own lived experience, that most people do not want to admit that they are denying Allah. Most people don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit that we all have forgotten Allah. The message of the Quran is addressed to all humanity, that all of us are to remember Allah, all of us are to purify our hearts. The Prophet was told in the Quran, ask for your own forgiveness and the forgiveness of the believers. Even the Prophet Muhammad had to ask for forgiveness for himself and the believers, Why? Why? All of us, all. But some of us don't want to hear that we are astray. We don't want to hear that our hearts are diseased. No. My heart is not diseased. No. I'm not astray. No. I was born a Muslim. No. I went to madrasa. No. I follow the gurus and the pandits, the Maulana Guru and Mufti Pandit, I follow them, but I read all my namazes and all that, you get what I mean? The Quran says, do not say that you believe, for faith has not entered into your heart. Rather say you are one who's submissive in religion, but don't say you believe until faith enters into your heart, you get what I mean? So, a lot of people don't want to admit that faith has not entered into their heart. This is the fundamental difficulty that a lot of people, but I read the Quran, but I stand in worship, but I do this and I do that. Yes, you could have a religious identity, like other people have a religious identity, but you might not be spiritually developed. You might have not, as a human being, submitted to your Creator. You're still living without having submitted. You haven't remembered Allah. You haven't humbled yourself before Allah. I was sharing last week where I had all this kind of, when you go through difficulties and you think Allah forgot you, Allah is not hearing you, Allah turned His back against you, when you're thinking, why do bad things happen to people, why doesn't Allah do anything, but and all these kind of thoughts, these come from a mind who is not aware of Allah. I'll be honest with you. The way most people think, it's because of a thinking that is not aware of Allah. They're not aware of Allah. That's why they think like that. When I wasn't aware of Allah, that's how I thought too. I should think like that. He hates me. He wants to punish me. I must have done something wrong. I'm bad. I'm guilty. So a lot of people do not want to acknowledge that they are in denial of Allah, that they have forgotten Allah, and they are yet to remember Allah. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that because of guilt and shame and fear. You know what I mean? A lot of people do not want to take responsibility. This is, I have seen through my own personal life, with me personally, I've seen with friends and family, I've seen with people I know, I've seen in my counseling practice, in my classrooms, I've seen it. I've seen it that most people don't want to take responsibility. They do not want to take responsibility. Responsibility is like the thing they don't want. So people like to blame. Allah is making this happen. Everything happens by the will of Allah. That means nothing can happen without Allah permitting it to happen. If I jump off a bridge, I will fall to my death, a tall one. That's not Allah caused me to kill myself. But through the law of gravity, my choices have consequences. And it happened by Allah's, whatever happens by the will of Allah. But it's not that Allah is causing it to happen. Allah has given us the option. Those who will remember Allah, they will remember. Those who don't want to remember Allah, they won't. It's not Allah is causing people to remember in Allah. People have a responsibility. And most people do not want to take responsibility. And that's how we know when somebody is deeply under the influence of the satanic trance. They do not want to take responsibility. They don't want to take responsibility. And I can tell you, I get whispered to as well. I had this opportunity to present this abstract to submit for an international conference. I was telling you about it. And Satan doesn't want me to go there and speak, right? And I found things to procrastinate and, lose myself into and thinking, do I want to do this? Now, last minute, 3:30 in the morning, I finished it up last night. 3:30 in the morning. But I had to say, Allah, I seek refuge in you from Satan the accursed. I'm getting whispered to here. It's my responsibility to claim refuge with you. I can see what's happening. I can see my thinking. I can see my behavior. What I want to do that will benefit me and benefit other people. Teach people about Iman, Amal, a life tayyibun, how to make dua, how to create a healthy marriage so that there are healthy families, so there are healthy communities, so there's a healthy society, so there's a healthy nation, so there's a healthy world. This is an important thing I'm doing. I'm promoting Islamic teaching in a practical, pragmatic way, in a real way. And Shaitan is like, why don't you do this and do that, and this is too hard and you can't do it. Who do you think you are? How can you write an abstract? What do you know? You're not a scholar, whatever it is. Shaitan is like that. Even me, not saying this like I'm special or something, but like me who speaks about this every day, about Allah, and I do these presentations and all that. So I claim refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed, and I'm glad that Allah is my refuge and He has guided me, that I am to take that responsibility for my diseased heart and for my failure to remember Allah and to remember. It's not for Allah to say, hey, you must remember me. It's for me to, Allah says, if you remember Him, He remembers you. If you fail to remember, it's a depressed life. He's guiding us to remember Him. You take one step, He takes 10. He's making it easy, but you got to do it. You got to claim that refuge. If you live your life, in your first life before guidance, and you're thinking, my life revolves around my business, my work, my money, my activities, my husband, my children, myself, looking after everybody. In your first life, you continue like that. That's Shaitan. Shaitan wants you to not remember Allah. Shaitan wants you to not remember Allah. Shaitan wants you to remain in denial. Shaitan wants you to feel insecure and maintain your insecurity. And when you remember Allah, your heart experiences assurance. You really experience assurance. See, this is the big idea here. Your heart experiences assurance. This is what I began this talk today, this lecture that I'm giving you. on peace, the peace of Allah. That what I am interested in is Allah and my peace with Him, my assurance and reassurance with Him, my assurance of my satisfaction in this world through my death with Him, rather than this world, rather than what's happening in this world, rather than people and things in this world, rather than me in this world, rather than me, people, things and experiences and what we're doing and not doing in this world. I'm more interested in Allah. I'm unconditionally focused on Allah, beyond the conditions of creation, beyond the conditions of my life. Allah is to be focused on. Excessive focus, strong feeling, exclusive attention is for Allah the real, the actual, for nobody else. That wherever I have made me special, the world special, my life special, things in the world special, special meaning something to focus on other than Allah. Whatever I'm controlled by, whatever I'm trying to control, rather than recognizing Allah is in control and I am His creation, in His care, and I am taken care of Him. This is the difference. You get what I mean? You don't even have to be like religious and all that. The Quran says, remember Allah. You know, remembrance of Allah, you don't need ablution, you don't need wudu, anytime, anywhere. Standing, sitting, or even reclining, relaxed, even lying on your side, you can remember Allah. You don't have to remember Allah in a mosque or in a musalla. You can, but you don't have to. You don't have to be in a state of ablution to remember Allah. To remember Allah, I can do it anywhere, anytime. You understand? And in there, making this connection that always is, experiencing the connection that always is, this expansion, this peace, this remembrance of Allah allows me to then live in this life understanding that I'm here to purify my heart. If you don't have the remembrance done, you won't do the purification of your heart. If you don't do the purification of your heart, basically when your heart feels distressed and stressed and worried, I say like when I'm in drama and trauma and troubles, that's especially when Satan is going to make you feel bad and you want to go for relief, safety and excitement. And then claiming Allah is good in this world and the world beyond. Allah has given us opportunities. Like I have an opportunity to speak to you this Friday, and I take it happily and willingly. I give an hour of my time here free of charge. I'm happy to do it. I'm doing it for me. If you remember Allah in an audience, He remembers you in a greater audience. This is good. It's benefiting. I'm in peace. I'm feeling good. When I'm talking about Allah, I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling assured. I'm feeling reassured. No matter what is happening in my life, not happening in my life, what is happening in my body, not happening in my body, what's happening in my work life, what's not happening in my work life, whatever. Relationships of all kinds, family life, whatever. When you remember Allah, you forget about everybody and everything else because there's no comparison. There's no comparison. Allah is the unique, supreme, alone to be focused on. I mean, we have a life because of Allah. We have guidance to improve the quality of our life because of Allah. We have people in our lives, people who we love and care about because of Allah. Why must we focus on the life without focusing on the one who gave us life? I mean, Allah has created me. He gave me my existence. There was nothing I could do to ask Him, can I have an existence please? This is Tawheed. Do you understand? That there was no me to ask Him, can you please create me? And there was no me. There's no Allah and me. There's no Allah and us. There's no Allah and creation. There's only Allah who alone, this is Tawheed, there's only Allah alone who we can recognize as actually existing and therefore worthy of worship, worthy of praise, worthy of trust, worthy of thanking, worthy of invoking. This focusing beyond the mind and its trances, focusing beyond our diseased hearts. That's why there is A'udhu. We're guided to say, A'udhu, I claim the refuge with Allah from my own diseased mind, from my own diseased heart. So Allah has guided me in the order first to remember Him. I'm not a perfect Muslim, let me tell you that. But I am a believer. I have Iman. My practicing of Islam is very questionable. I support Islam, I champion Islam, I practice Islam as best as I can. But my Iman is solid. It starts there with Iman. And then you get changed. Allah transforms you. And you start inclining to the beautiful way of Islam more and more. You get what I mean? Instead of people who just were born into Islam, which is basically Islamism in this country, South Africa. People are, born into Islamism and they know nothing about Iman and having faith in their heart and purify. They don't know why we are here really. They're just carrying on like the non-believers, but just having a different book, a different prophet, or a different day to worship on, communal worship, or a different religious holiday. But they're all the same religious identity until you become aware that what you are, Allah's creation, that's what I am. I am Allah's creation. I know who Allah is. I know what happened here. I know what is happening here. I'm aware. I'm no longer in superstition, ignorance and arrogance. Now imagine people living in that first life before guidance, not receiving guidance. They're lost. They don't even know they're lost. Their hearts are diseased. They think they believe in Allah in the last day, but they don't, the Quran says. They think they're fooling Allah, but they only fool themselves. Imagine. And you live your life and you die, and you don't know that you never remembered Allah. And you didn't know that first is to remember Allah. First is Iman. The first pillar of Islam is Iman. Not Salah. Not zakat, not hajj, not fasting. It's iman, tawheed. So you can keep fast, but if you don't have iman, you don't have iman. You can go for hajj, but if you don't have iman, you don't have iman. If you don't remember Allah, if your heart doesn't feel assurance, if you don't have this connection of tawheed, if you haven't submitted the phantom trance of this Allah and two-ness, there's only the oneness of Allah. There's only one power. Submission. All the prophets, Abraham submitted. Abraham didn't follow Islam as Islam was shared with the prophet. He had Iman. He was a friend of Allah. It was enough. But here we have not only Iman, we have Islam, even more than enough. You know how wonderful supporting the welfare of humanity. Of course, people in religious identity don't even know what the point of Islam is as a welfare of the humanity welfare. You know what I mean? Anyway, my point is that you got to remember Allah first. Second, you got to purify your heart. Third, it's only when you purify your heart that you can receive the potentials and possibilities. You get what I mean? You can't improve your health if you don't remember Allah and if you don't purify your heart. If you don't remember Allah, you're in a satanic trance. You're controlled by the things of this world. You're controlled by the world. You're more interested in other things that Satan tells you to focus on. You're not going to cleanse that heart out. And so you're not going to act in a self-caring way, a self-nurturing way, a body-caring way, a body-nurturing way. Islam is a religion of caring for your body. You have to have adequate sleep. You got to eat the proper food, halal and tayyib. You got to, the sunnah is be active and all sorts of, look after yourself, don't damage yourself. Islam is all about that. But people can't do that. When you look at people today, those who are even the gurus and the pundits, you can see they are not self-nurturing, body-nurturing, life-nurturing. You can see they don't know how to have relationships with their spouses, their children, other people. Because they cannot claim Allah's good in this world. They cannot have wholesome living in this world because their hearts are diseased. And their hearts are diseased because they haven't remembered Allah. And they're not purifying their heart. So if you don't remember Allah and you don't purify your heart, you're not going to act in a way that is healthy and wholesome. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I took a walk last night. At 3 o'clock in the morning. I told you I was procrastinating with the presentation abstract. I did it. Took me about 2-3 hours to do it. And I realized I didn't walk yesterday. And I took a walk for about 20 minutes yesterday. 3 o'clock in the morning. I took a walk. Now, the old me, would never take a walk, at the most convenient of times. But this new me, this believer in me with Iman and Amal, says, I care for me and my body. At 3 in the morning, who you know will take a walk. People are like, I don't take a walk at the best of times and most convenient of times. At 3 in the morning, I took a walk. Out of love for my body, out of, Allah gave me this body, it's an amanat. I got to respect it. You get what I mean? I can respect this body and see the respect of this body and the value that is why my health is improving is my relationship with my body has improved. Get what I mean? I understand the Quran says Allah created us in the best of molds, that Allah created us in the best of forms, that includes the body, and I respect Allah's respecting of us enough to give us this body. Why didn't He give us distorted bodies, contorted bodies, animal bodies? Well, I mean, if we don't respect these bodies, I was putting nicotine substances in my body, harming myself, neglecting myself, putting on the weight. If we didn't respect the bodies, He'll say, why must I give these chaps, these people, this best of molds? Let me give them some mold that is not valued. But Allah has given us a body. So you can't think like this if you haven't remembered Allah. People might ask, which madrasa you went to, Ashraf? Which books are you reading? I didn't go to any madrasa. I haven't read any books. If I did, it probably lead me in a different way, not here. I've turned to Allah in a moment of difficulty, and Allah was always there, and I submitted and I humbled myself and I listened, and He guided me. And here I am on the path, trusting in Allah, seeing His hand in my life. From the difficulty, I practice patience. Allah says He is with those who are patient. I practice patience. I didn't say, I need it changed now, change it now, this is such a bad thing, get rid of it, Ya Allah, I'm so impatient. Allah says He's with those who are patient. Practice patience. You listened to last week's presentation if you missed it. I'm sharing this with you in a sequential manner to tell you, how this happened. And it's happening. I'm leaving this for anybody who's interested in stepping along the path. An amazing path that when you remember Allah and you purify your heart, you will act in ways that benefit you, your body, your life, and other human beings. Nobody will be able to stop you from doing that. Here people are saying, Ashraf, you've got such good willpower. My willpower is hopeless. I even told you how I was procrastinating and couldn't even say shaitan was like distracting me. I don't have good willpower. But what I do have is the will to draw closer to Allah and the will to purify my heart, and that's what I do. I claim the refuge with Allah, and because I'm there, I can claim His good in this world. I can be a person who has honorable conduct. I can conduct myself with the respect of me and other people. When I was worshipping Satan, when I was unaware of Allah, and I had a diseased heart, that diseased heart was animosity filled. Blame, aggression, hatred, judgment. Now I'm learning peace. When you greet the ignorant people, greet them with peace, the Quran says. I always read that, but I couldn't do it. Now I can see the ignorant people and I can feel peace. Why? Because I've cleansed my heart of that part of me that was judging them. Before I was like, how can they be like that? Why don't they listen? Why it's wrong to live like that? I was very judgmental. Satan was still with Satan in that area. And Allah guided me to humble myself. They don't owe me an explanation. Allah will show us where we differ. Wait and see. You can live in this world and live distracted, but wait and see. I'm not waiting. I am applying myself. And I can see the difference, for me in this world. So, if you are a person who remembers Allah and you cleanse your heart, you'll be able to make progress in your health, in your wealth, in your finances, in your relationships, in your marriage, in your families, in your communities, whatever. You'll improve, you'll progress. The Quran says you're the best of people. The people who have listened to the Quran and accepted His message is the best of people, a light to the world. You understand? I'm becoming a little bit of that, at least a candle light. You know what I mean? I'm becoming that. How? And I'm telling you how. There's potentials and possibilities that Allah has given us. We already have them. For the best of health, for the best of wealth, for His every good in this world, through our death and beyond. But most people will never claim it. They won't. They won't make dua. They think dua is desperately trying to change what they don't want, what they're unhappy about. They're unhappy, now they're trying to stop being unhappy. That's what they think dua is. They don't know. They're not believers. They don't know. They're not learning. They carry on in ignorance. That's got nothing to do with me. I have to remind myself. It's got nothing to do with me. Anyway, so what I'm saying to us is that, I have been remembering Allah, and I have been purifying my heart, and I have been progressed in this world, and I'm looking forward to the akhirah. I really am. That I focus not only in my future in this world and, through my death, but I focus through my death and beyond. I'm not only receiving Allah's potentials and possibilities in this world, but I'm focusing into the future through my death and beyond. You understand? Now, if you don't receive Allah's good in this world, where are you going to receive a good death and, in the year after? You're not going to receive it. So this is the 4 things I've committed to. Remember Allah. Cleanse your heart. Claim Allah's good in this world. And through your death and into the world beyond, into the afterlife. Not just my future in this world I'm focused on, improving it, but my future in the afterlife. So I'm going to stop there. Shukr to Allah. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah Almighty, who has guided me to the path of human excellence, who strengthens me along this path. I don't care what anybody else thinks about anything. I'm on my way. Shukr to Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.